Welcome to another episode of Issues and Insights. I'm Bryce Shumate from Hardin County Government, and today I've got my good friend Daniel London, our Hardin County Deputy Judge Executive, with us today, and we want to talk to you all a little bit about what's going on in Hardin County Government, what's opening up now that COVID-19, some of the restrictions are being eased a little bit, and we're working back and easing back into our daily business. So we want to kind of keep you all up on what's going on in the county. Daniel, welcome to our show today.
It's great to be with you.
Thank you for agreeing to be with us. So
delighted to. Always enjoy it.
I know Deputy Judge work has been just out the roof the last 3 months. Been extremely busy.
Well, as with everyone here in the community, particularly civic leaders and government leaders, this has thrown a wrench in everything. As business owners, our plans for 2020 have gone by the wayside, and we've all had to readjust, and we've done that. And I want to thank everyone for bearing with us and having patience, because we've had to fly by the seat of our pants, quite frankly. During this, but everyone has been very good and very understanding, and we deeply appreciate that.
But we want people to know that you have been in constant contact with all the mayors of all three cities, all 4 cities, and 5 cities. We could start throwing Sonora and Upton in there too, yeah. 6. You've been in constant contact with them to keep up with what's going on and let them know what's going on.
Absolutely, and I hope the public feels this way as well, but I will say it certainly from my vantage point. We have great mayors in this county, every one of them. They do a phenomenal job. City, county, we all work together very well, and as you pointed out, we're in regular contact, checking on each other, making sure that everyone has what they need, whatever cooperation, collaboration that's needed. We've done that. I think this is the best that we have seen. That nucleus of local government leadership in a long time, and I'm very thankful for that. We're very blessed.
That's what people want. They don't want to see the fighting.
We don't need the nonsense that we see on the federal level and to some degree on the state level. We don't have that here in Hardin County. And that makes my heart happy. I'm very proud of our county for that in our leaders.
Daniel, we're
personal friends.
Exactly. Let's talk about county government opening, doors opening. What's going on?
Yeah, so we are open back up in county government. Now, there's some caveats to that, of course. The first and foremost, I want to talk about county clerk obviously isn't here, but I want to relay some information for her. That's the most visible office probably in the county as far as public facing. We have an election coming up on 23 June. As everyone knows, the May primary was pushed to 23 June. We want to encourage all of you to vote. The governor and Secretary of State both agreed collaboratively and cooperatively, I'll add, that we need to do this year's primary by mail only, so everyone has to vote absentee if you're going to vote. With one caveat, there is a voting machine at the County Government Center and County Clerk, so if you want to vote in person, you can go do that, but we encourage you to do it by absentee. It's a little easier. The County Clerk's office is open. She's conducting curbside service, if you will. The reason for that, and hopefully everyone will understand, the reason for that, she doesn't want to risk an infection in her staff prior to the election on the 23rd.
And that's why we see all these folks standing outside.
That's why we see the line outside, correct.
And I know people have gotten discouraged over that.
They have, and again, it's understandable, and I'm going to admit it personally, I'm kind of over this to some degree. I'm ready to move on with life.
Right.
I think most of us are, but there are still some precautions that we have to take. The election on the 23rd is very important. Debbie Donnelly, who's the Hardin County Court Clerk, wants to ensure that she doesn't have any hiccups in the election. If there was an infection that would go through her staff, obviously that would make it very difficult in getting the votes counted on the 23rd, and she wants to ensure that doesn't occur.
And Daniel, since you're talking about the vote, we want folks that are watching the show today to know that the traffic pattern will change a little bit in the front entrance that day.
Well, so if you decide to come to the Hardin County Government Center, 150 North Provident Way, to vote either on Election Day or particularly on Election Day on the 23rd, it'll be kind of a drive-through type service that she will have set up. So you come in the main entrance on the main level. They'll come out, provide you with a ballot there on the spot if you want to vote, and then you depart out the back so that we have constant traffic flow.
So will we have folks that are directing traffic and signage
we will.
and so on?
So the sheriff's office, working along with the clerk, John Ward, again has done a fabulous job for our county on day-to-day basis, particularly here. He's working with the National Guard. We'll have some National Guard service members in as well to assist with traffic as well as the vote. So,
and I know you've got some electronic signs that you've been able to get purchased.
We do, so we'll have that up as a guiding tool as folks come in. So it'll be well marked. Just ask you to be patient as you come in on Provident Way. Just understand we also have EMS station co-located with the government center there, so we'll have ambulances coming and going on an emergency basis. So just be cautious as you come through.
Safety. It's about safety. We're not trying to inconvenience people. It's just about safety.
If you're coming for other business other than to vote on the 23rd, we would ask you to go to the lower level of the building and park and call ahead for an appointment.
And it may even be better to come, if you're wanting to do that, is come the day before Election Day or the day after.
That would be better. That would be better. But if you have to come on Election Day, we would encourage you to park in the rear of the building and make an appointment to just make that traffic pattern a little easier and, again, keep everyone a little safer.
Right, because it'll be congested. We perceive or predict that it may be congested out there.
Yeah, absolutely. Conducting normal business at the Hardin County Government Center, our animal shelter, for example, we're open. We're conducting normal business. We just ask that you make an appointment to come. And that just helps us predict the throughput of individuals coming in. That way we can ensure social distancing.
So are we still doing adoptions, or
we are? Absolutely. So we're doing intake and adoptions now at the animal shelter. Again, we're doing it by appointment. It just makes it. We have confined space at the animal shelter, and if you've been there, you understand that. Particularly our adoption room. It's a small room. We're talking 100 square feet or so, and so we don't want too many people in there at once.
Right.
Again, trying to be cognizant of the virus is still there. Our shelter staff, we have some with some core mobility issues, some underlying health issues that make them susceptible to the virus. So we still want to be cautious and in recognizing that and ensure that everyone's safe. So we're trying to do that in a very safe manner.
And we want people to know that during all this time, we were still working.
We never shut down, so to speak. County government remained in operation. Obviously, we closed our buildings to the public for a period of time. Again, until we kind of felt our way through this to make sure that everyone was safe. But we continue to operate because our county government is essential. Sometimes obviously that's up for debate in terms of how essential you want it to be, but it is essential. We continue to operate and ensure that the needs of our constituent citizens were met.
And it was a busy time for our emergency services people getting PPE out, protective equipment, folks. For y'all that don't know what PPE is, personal protection equipment.
Yeah, absolutely, and we. I think we handled it very well with our first responders. We only had one infection, and that was actually with our 911 that was outside of county government. We had some folks exposed from EMS, but no one contracted the virus. So we are very proud of that fact due to the planning and the cautions that we took.
And we don't want you folks, if our EMS folks come, and they're wearing what we call a Tyvek suit. It looks like a white plastic suit and wearing a face shield. If we're coming to your house on somebody that possibly could have COVID-19, we don't want people to be taken back by that, but we've got to take all safety measures to keep our folks safe too.
Right. Almost looks like they're in a spacesuit.
Yes.
And they feel like feel like they are. But that's for everyone's protection, and obviously we want to keep them working during this time. It's absolutely critical. So we're going to take every precaution with our first responders that we can.
Right, because that was one of our biggest fears.
It was.
And
Absolutely.
we were worried about if our EMS folks went down and our 911 folks went down, who would take their places and where would we get the help? Thank the good Lord we didn't have that happen.
Right, and we'll do an after-action review once we get past this and how we conducted ourselves and look at every action we took to make sure that re-review that as we write the rules for if this happens again for the next set of leaders that may come in and have to deal with this. I'll admit there may be some areas that we overreacted, but we did that with the intent of protecting everyone on our side as well as the public to ensure that we can continue those essential functions.
And we don't know what's going to happen with the future until an inoculation or a actual treatment for this comes about. It's going to be kind of, we're going to have to wait and see.
We are, and again, everyone's proven to be very adaptable throughout this situation, which again is very much appreciated. The federal government is touting possible vaccine by the end of the year, so we're all very hopeful that obviously occurs sooner rather than later, so we can get somewhat back to normal.
And we're receiving a lot of phone calls in the Judge Executive's office asking about the court system too.
Sure. So right now, obviously, the court system is administered here in the county by the circuit court clerk. At this point, they're doing an alternating schedule week by week. So you'll have one group of employees working this week, a different set the next week. Again, they want to keep them
so they're actually at half staff.
They are. They're at half staff. It's my understanding that somewhere around the 1st of July to mid-July that they'll be back up and fully running. But we're getting a lot of those calls, as you noted, as the court system started opening back up on June 1st. Again, just please be patient as that moves through. But they plan to be fully operational.
And some of the clients, they're actually having court. They're hearing cases now and so on. I know some of the calls that we're getting is they're not getting anybody to answer the phone down there, and it's because they're short-staffed.
Correct. So, again, and it's frustrating when you call and you don't get an answer. I understand that. We faced it on our end as just trying to be understanding that the amount of calls that they're getting combined with the fact that they're half staff, it's a challenge right now.
And we've had some people say, well, y'all are government, aren't you? They're government, you're government, but it's their state, we're county. So, I mean, there is a division.
It gets confusing.
It does. And people don't actually understand that when they call because we're the county judge executive's office, and that is the judicial center. So it is confusing for some people.
And some of these decisions aren't decisions we get to make. They're decisions that are issued by the state that we have to abide by and figure out how to implement those. So many times we feel like we're frustrated with what we're having to do, but unfortunately we're required to do it. So just please be patient with us.
County Road Department, as far as mowing right-of-ways and still doing the normal things they do this time of year, how is that going?
They, of course, again, essential functions there at the road department. We never ceased operations there. Of course, they have limited interaction with the public on a daily basis, so we didn't fear too much of an infection issue there, but we took appropriate precautions. They're continuing to mow right-of-ways in anticipation that school will start this fall and on time, to make sure that visibility for buses down right-of-ways are ready to go and safe.
Right.
So they're continuing to operate. Obviously, we have a lot of potholes throughout the county. We're continuing to try and get those fixed. That's at a slower pace now, and this will lead me into another point of discussion. The Department of Corrections has mandated that all inmates remain in the detention center, so all the community-based work programs have ceased for now until the Department of Corrections allows inmates to return to the labor force.
And that's because?
And that's because they fear an infection. Again, they don't want to take a chance on them being exposed to COVID, going back to the detention center, and then you have an outbreak. And we've seen that at some detention centers across the state.
When the outbreak is because they're in such close proximity to each other, it'd be hard.
And you can't social distance because frankly, every detention center in Kentucky is overcrowded already. So it's a petri dish. Just ready to explode if someone comes in infected, and we can't take that.
So that makes a great segue into my next question for you: is recycling. Lots and lots of people have called us about recycling.
And I've really been heartened. I'm glad people have called because it's been encouraging to see that we have people that are very environmentally conscious in the county. Our recycling program is very popular. Unfortunately, we've had to suspend it right now. Inmate labor is very key in being able to have a recycling program. Our material is processed by the Meade County Regional Recycling Center. They use inmate labor to sort that material. They do, as I just noted, they don't have that source of labor right now. So as a result, we can't take our material there, so we've had to shut down our drop point.
And that basically has nothing to do with our decision. That's a state decision, correct?
It is. And it's not Meade County's fault. That's not our fault. That's just one of those issues that we're having to deal with right now. The Department of Corrections has not provided guidance yet as to when they expect inmates to be released back into the labor pool. Now, I have some good news, and we'll do more press on this at the end of the week or first of next week. Once we do get our recycling back open, as most know now, if you're recycling, you're very aware of this, we only have one drop point, and that's Peterson Drive in Elizabethtown. We're actually going to expand to 9 drop points.
Oh, wow.
So a huge improvement, and that's part of a new agreement we have with Red River. They're going to take that recycling program over for all practical measures, and we negotiated a great plan, a great contract there. That we're going to be able to expand that program. So I'm really, really excited about that.
So will the county still be working with Red River? How will that?
We will. It'll be a very close cooperation, but we've moved responsibility of the recycling program from the county over to a private contractor. And this gets back to something that's been a staple of my leadership in the county in moving us more toward public-private partnerships, because you get like this, when county runs it, you've got one drop point. You get a private contractor involved and you do it right, then you can get 9 drop points. So it's a great example of how important these public-private partnerships are.
So that brings about another point then. Once Red River takes this over, that'll be somewhere time frame of?
We are targeting, in fact, I just left a meeting where we're trying to get our timelines firmed up just before this interview. We are targeting 1 August.
Okay.
And having this up again. Now, again, that's going to be contingent on the assumption that the Department of Corrections are going to allow inmate labor back into the workforce, because again, that material still goes to Meade County. But our goal, as long as we can take our material to Meade County as of 1 August, we will have those 9 recycling drop points up and running.
So if that's not available, since it's private contractor, will they take it other places maybe?
They unfortunately not. And again, we get into dollars and cents there. The recycling market has just tanked. And so you get into a situation to where it's not economically beneficial to take it elsewhere. Plus, we have a written agreement with Meade County that we have to send our material.
And this
there.
is good information to get out, because I mean that's been one of the biggest things that we've had people calling and asking about with the county being open.
Very, very interesting. So again, it's one of those situations, and I've got it storing up in my garage. I don't want to throw it away, but we're obviously having to dispose of some of it. Please be patient with us. We're trying to get there, but it's one of those things, as I noted before, this is something that's been pushed down on us, so to speak, a constraint that's been mandated by the state. So we're having to work with it, even at our own frustration.
One other thing, I know that the county library system has their own board that runs a library, but it is somewhat of a county entity. Can you give us any information about the library itself?
Yeah, so the library started opening back up this week. I know Renee Hutcherson, our librarian, who does a fabulous job, along with the board, who's not compensated for what they do. It's a volunteer basis. They've done very well in trying to make sure that there's some degree of curbside service, drop boxes, and so on, as well throughout this. So again, they've endured a challenge and trying to make sure that, particularly with kids at home, they still have access to books. So they've worked very hard to make sure that that's
And they've got an electronic book program too that's available that a lot of people don't know
Absolutely.
about.
So I'd encourage you to go to their website, view what they have, and if you want to go in, that possibility is now there.
And I'm glad you said that, because we have not only built a new website for county government, but we keep it updated. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. So again, as we go through this, we're updating it, and again, we have failure, so we're not perfect in getting all the information on there, but we are very diligent in trying to make sure that any new updates, any changes that we have as far as business hours or how to conduct business, this Red River agreement, for example, once we get a few little things, I's dotted and T's crossed, we'll have that information available hopefully at the end of this week. So check our website and our Facebook page particularly, because that's real-time information
And
that you can obtain.
So when we push out information, I know it automatically feeds over to Facebook and Twitter, correct?
That is correct. That's correct. So we've really tried to up our social media game.
And folks, for you all that are watching this, if you're going, well, okay, what is the county website? HCKY.org. You'll Google that, and it'll take you. You can go into all the county offices, all the county directors, You can get a hold of Daniel. You're able to see what all's going on because there'll be a news feed on there too.
Correct.
Correct.
That's correct. That's correct. Absolutely. And again, our Facebook page is just Hardin County Government. You can look it up, follow it. Please follow it. We update it daily and push out as much information as possible.
Daniel, I know we've given out a lot of information right now, and of course, the website is a great place to get that information, and we've got links to all of our city partners that on there as well to get their information out to folks, because there's a lot of people coming in. Fort Knox is bringing new people in, and we're seeing the housing market is booming right now.
It has, yeah. In fact, I mean, you've seen that firsthand. You put your house on the market, you better be ready to sell it, because it may happen within hours.
3 hours, folks. Yeah. 3 hours. I mean,
So it's pretty hot. And I read an article this morning on CNBC that secondary market mortgages, so home sales, mortgages for home sales up 19% again last month.
So we're seeing a lot of influx of the new folks coming in from the new unit at Fort Knox coming in. We're seeing people settle in from the new industry that's coming into Meade County.
Right.
A lot of those folks are settling in Hardin County.
That's correct. So that's going to be beneficial, obviously, to our northern part of the county. So we want to see success there. I know Mayor Duval and Mayor Ogden are working very hard to attract from both sides, so to speak, Fort Knox and what's happening in Meade County. This is truly a regional effort, if you will. Meade County can't facilitate all those workers in terms of homes, and so some of that naturally will come to Hardin County, and we're excited about that.
Let me ask you this: as far as wearing masks in some of these places, some of them have, or most of them have got signs on the doors telling folks what to do, correct?
Right, and like the government center, we ask you to wear a mask if you're coming in, particularly if you're going to be closer than 6 feet to someone. We're a little more intent on that right now, again, citing the election that's coming up on the 23rd. We want to make sure there are no hiccups with that. We understand that people are a little apprehensive about this being an all mail-in election. We haven't had that before in Kentucky, and so the county clerk is working very hard to make sure that there are no hiccups.
So even though we see the line outside, the building is not shut down.
That's
so
correct.
You can still get to the Property Evaluation Administration,
Sheriff's Office, the Judge
building,
Executive's
planning.
Office, Planning and Zoning. Again, we ask you if you know you're coming in advance, so it's not a pop-up that you have to be there right now. We ask you to go ahead and call ahead and make an appointment. That just ensures that everyone's ready to assist you right there, and that way you don't have to wait. And we have issues with social distancing. So we do encourage you to call ahead.
One other thing that we've had some calls about, folks, is people are asking about driver's license because of the court system being shut down, driver's licensing was shut down. They're actually taking appointments now. So if you all are calling and trying to figure out about your driver's license, if you'll go on Hardin County Circuit Clerk's website, it'll give you a prompt to go for making appointments for your driver's license, your Kentucky driver's license. And right now, they're actually letting you do a mail-in on driver's license where you can get them renewed that way as well. So reach out to them if you're not sure about that. They are making appointments, so it's not a walk-in like we've been used to get your driver's license, where you can actually walk in and get them renewed. Now they're taking appointments.
Yeah, great. And I know we've obviously received a lot of calls in our office concerning that, so people will be excited to hear that.
Yes. Anything else we need to get out right now to the folks that are watching this show? It doesn't have to necessarily be about COVID or openings, but
sure. I just point out again. I know we're all getting a little antsy about returning back to normal, and that's okay. I'm putting myself in that boat, but still be cautious. The virus is still out there, so take appropriate precautions as we open back up. And again, just please keep in mind that the state mandates us to take certain actions, and even though that may be frustrating to us and frustrating to you, we still have to abide by that as we work through this.
And Daniel, I know a lot of businesses are starting to open back up.
They are.
Restaurants. I know Amy Inman from E-Town last night posted that she'd had her first date. They were able to have their first date to get out and actually go someplace to eat where she didn't have to wash the dishes. So Amy, I know that was your all's nice first date to get out. So, but it is cool that a lot of this is opening up, and our citizens are actually getting out.
They are, and I would encourage you, don't be afraid to go out. Again, business owners have been phenomenal in taking the appropriate precautions to make sure that you're safe. We've got to get our economy back up and running. Take precaution, of course, but don't be afraid to go out.
And I've appreciated Mayor Gregory's initiative here in Elizabethtown. A lot of the restaurants, he's allowing them to go out in the parking lot so that they can get some more of their social distancing out there.
And what the city did to help small businesses with the $3,000 grant was huge. I mean, you think of business owners as being well-heeled financially. That's just not the case. They're working just like everyone else. In some cases, paycheck to paycheck. That $3,000 saved some of the businesses here in town. So obviously, that's taxpayer money, and we appreciate the taxpayers being supportive of that. But it was a great initiative for the city to do that.
We want to thank our folks at Harbor Memorial Hospital.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and all of our first responders, all the nurses on the front lines, this has been the toughest on them. A lot of long hours. I've got 2 daughters that are nurses. One she's emergency department nurse. They've worked very hard. I have a son-in-law that's a police officer. Obviously, he's been on the front lines. This has been very strenuous, stressful, taxing for them. So if you're a nurse, you're a first responder, thank you. We don't thank them enough on a daily basis under normal circumstances.
I probably shouldn't say tax when we're talking about government.
Yeah, that's probably not. Yeah, I don't like that word either.
Yeah, so I mean, but it has been, and so we want to thank all of our folks, and they've been, when we talk about working together, they have been great partners to work with, and we have met with our emergency services and Harbor Memorial Hospital quite a bit, health department, local health district.
Absolutely, and I'll finish with this thought, Bryce. On that note, we are a very blessed community here. You look at the first responders we have, how dedicated they are. I mean, you and I see that on a daily basis. They're not afraid to work around the clock multiple days to get done what needs to be done.
Along with our volunteer fire departments.
Absolutely, who are huge assets to our community, especially our small communities out in the county. But anytime that you get frustrated with your community, just think about just over the past couple of weeks and what you've seen in larger cities being destroyed by some of the riots. We've had none of that. We've had very peaceful protests, exactly what we envision when someone is exercising their constitutional rights to address an issue that has also troubled me.
Sure.
We have a great community, great citizens, and the last few weeks, last few months have really made us all proud. And if you weren't already proud to be a member of this community, you should be after the last few weeks.
Daniel London, thank you so much for joining us, our Hardin County Deputy Judge Executive, and thank you for joining us today on Hardin County Education and Community TV's Issues and Insights, where we try to keep you informed on what's going on all throughout this big community that we love called Hardin County. But more importantly, as we go along, what is going on in your students' life in the Hardin County school system, because this TV station is totally sponsored by the Hardin County Schools. And so we thank you for joining us. We'll keep you up to date, not only on what's going on COVID-19, because I know we're tired of hearing this, but what's going on as far as what we're doing to get back to not just a new normal, but what's going on in Hardin County to get us back open, what's going on to show you what's going on in the lives of our citizens. Thank you for joining us today. I'm Bryce Shumate, and we will see you out in the community.